Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky calls for caution over Russia's pledge to scale back fighting in part of his country.
And here, Ed Sheeran and a host of other stars raised £12 million at a charity concert for humanitarian efforts in Ukraine.
Now, every week at this time, we take a look at the climate crisis. We bring you stories with big implications for our planet's future. And this week on Climate Critical, we're focusing again on Ukraine, and for a number of very good reasons. The revenues, for example, from fossil fuels are certainly helping to fund the war. And there are those who argue that climate change is actually one of the causes of this conflict.
The Telegraph leads with the Russian promise to withdraw troops from attacking the Ukrainian capital, Kiev, and other major cities. The paper says Vladimir Putin has failed in his plan.
Financial Times, well, they're looking at Russia and EU in a standoff as Putin digs in on ruble payments for gas. President Putin wanting hydrocarbons to be paid for in rubles after, of course, many of their banks have been sanctioned following their invasion of Ukraine.
And officials in Ukraine have warned that Russia still poses a military threat to the capital, Kiev, despite developments in yesterday's peace talks.
John Donnison is here with us this morning and has been looking at all these latest developments. Hi, morning, John.
Morning, John. Morning, Nina. A lot of caveats, a lot of caution after those peace talks yesterday in what sounded like positive news, but let's just wait and see. Let's bring up the map and see where we are this morning, because we know that Russia has said it will scale back its operations in two key areas around the capital, Kiev, and that strategically important city of Chernihiv up in the north. But I should say our correspondents on the ground in the capital are reporting the sound of explosions on the outskirts of the city already this morning. Let's just bring in these pictures from Kiev, the region of Kiev. This is a village on the outskirts. Ukrainian soldiers are on the ground, having just retaken it from the enemy, part of a pushback that may have forced a shift in tactics by Moscow. But overnight, we've had a warning from US intelligence officials who believe the move could be a repositioning for the Russian army and not a withdrawal. The general staff of the Ukrainian military also said the move was probably a rotation of individual units and aimed to mislead. Let's just listen to President Zelensky, who's been echoing that skepticism.
Yes, we can call positive the signals we hear from the negotiating platform. But these signals do not silence the explosion of the Russian shells. Of course, we see all the risks. Of course, we see no reason to trust the words of certain representatives of a state that continues to fight for our destruction. Ukrainians are not naive people.
And there's certainly been no let-up in fighting in the east and the southeast. In Mykolaiv, just down here on the Black Sea, a Russian strike on a government building killed at least 12 people and injured more than 28 others. We can see these pictures here. A rocket went into the 9-storey building shortly before 9 o'clock yesterday morning. Authorities are still searching for more survivors in the rubble. In another development this morning, the Ministry of Defence has said Russian units have been forced to return to Belarus and Russia to reorganise and supply after suffering heavy losses. These pictures show Russian military hardware captured by the Ukrainian forces in Kharkiv. This will, of course, place further pressure on Russia's already strained logistics and goes to demonstrate the difficulties Russia is having reorganising its units within the country. We can also look at some new satellite images we've got from Mariupol, which have been released, further demonstrating really the extent of the damage in that city. It's still besieged, of course, by Russian forces. UN officials say they believe at least 5,000 civilians have died in the city since the conflict began. Elsewhere, here in the UK, we've had a charity fundraising concert last night. It raised more than £12 million so far for the Disasters Emergency Committee. The concert featured performances from stars such as Ed Sheeran and Camila Cabello, alongside Ukraine's 2016 Eurovision winner Jamala, who has spoken about fleeing the country following the invasion, along with more than 3 million of her fellow Ukrainians. So I think everyone welcomed the news out of those peace talks yesterday. The overall message, though, the war's not over.
Yeah, too soon then, John, to hope this is the beginning of the end.
I think so.
Thank you.